Rumors of a new 990 Duke have been around for a long time, and after the first pictures during test rides, there are also leaks of the engine power. It can be assumed that it will replace the 890 Duke launched in 2021, which in turn replaced the 790 Duke. We take a closer look at the latest images, info, and what they tell us about the 990 Duke 2024. Ironically, it could well be that the 790 Duke will be offered alongside the new 990 Duke from 2024, as it was brought back in 2023, but that's just a side note.
New face in the Duke range.
During test rides, the new Duke 990 was spotted with a completely new front end and a fresh 990cc inline two-cylinder engine. In the prototype pictures, the new design looks like it was created with a 3D printer from a hobby workshop, which is probably also due to the lack of paint. However, the fact that the 1290 Super Duke R has also been spotted with this front mask, and the new 390 Duke has a similar face, albeit with covers, suggests that this really is the new face of the new Duke series. The basic shape of the new mask has not really changed and remains true to the previous shape. Two round LED lamps are integrated one above the other. It can be assumed that these are again flanked by LED strips that serve as daytime running lights, as is the case with the little sister. However, whether it will also get the cover, the transparent lamp mask, is currently still open. As usual, the indicators are mounted above the mask. There do not appear to be any major changes here, although the shape may have become a little longer.
Changes in design and equipment, display and mirror.
The display holder has been redesigned, but this raises questions. Is it a temporary solution or already the final version? In contrast to the previous models, the display has a more square design. In addition, the flattened corners, a characteristic design element of the previous Dukes, are no longer present. It is likely that in future a display will be installed that corresponds to that of various CF Moto models, which work closely with KTM. On the left-hand side of the bracket, you can also see a small flap that could conceal a USB charging port. The redesign of the handlebar fittings on the KTM 990 Duke is also striking. The modified four-way buttons are particularly eye-catching. Their design appears to be curved inwards towards the center. This modification could mean a considerable improvement in operability. The curvature makes it easier for the thumb to reach the center of the buttons, allowing it to intuitively select the right button. The mirrors have also been redesigned. They now have conspicuous cutouts in the rear area. Their design differs significantly from that of their predecessors. They no longer run in a 90-degree bend, but rather run diagonally upwards.
Chassis and fairing of the KTM 990 Duke.
The fact that the upside-down fork of the KTM 990 Duke comes from WP should hardly surprise anyone. The fairing also features some innovations. For example, the small side fairing next to the tank has been redesigned. In contrast, the frame of the 990 Duke appears to have remained unchanged. Changes have been made to the swing arm. Current pictures show that it is no longer equipped with static bars, but has a more solid design.
KTM 990 Duke engine, the performance data.
A key feature of the redesign of the KTM 990 Duke is certainly the revised inline twin-cylinder. It is said that CF Moto will build the new KTM engine, and they will certainly be allowed to use it in their own models. Although the basic design and dimensions of the engine have been retained, a few things have changed under the surface. The cylinder head, the housing, the oil pan, and the covers, among other things, have been redesigned. Of particular note is the redesign of the oil pan, which has not only been lowered but also moved to the side. This change creates space for the catalytic converter and the exhaust system. A larger oil and water cooler also indicates increased engine performance. If the data leaked on the internet is to be believed, the new engine will have 947 cc and generate 123 horsepower and 103 Newton-meter, compared to the Duke 890, which produces 121 HP and 99 Newton-meter. This would only mean an increase in performance of 2 horsepower and 4 Newton-meter, which already seems rather low. However, if you consider the new Euro 5 Plus emissions standard which will apply from next year, then you know why the extra power is so low.
Completely new exhaust system for the KTM 990 Duke.
The KTM 990 Duke comes with a completely revised exhaust system. Compared to the previous model, a significant change in the manifold design is noticeable. They now have a much more pronounced curve before flowing into a large collector under the engine. Also striking is the rear silencer, which also appears more massive than on the predecessor model, although it is difficult to make out in the available pictures.
Redesign of the rear section.
The design of the rear section of the new KTM 990 Duke also shows changes. In particular, the conventional rear light is now replaced by indicators with integrated rear and brake lights. However, this approach will depend on the respective regulations in the different markets. As such, an integrated solution is not permitted everywhere. If you look closely, you can also see a sensor above the new lighting unit. At first glance, you might assume it is a radar, but that is still unlikely with this model. It is more likely to be a sensor for recording data during the test drive.
Speculation in the final presentation.
It is important to emphasize that there are many uncertainties when analyzing the new KTM 990 Duke model. Not all parts seen in the images so far will necessarily be found in the final version of the bike. Some could be for camouflage or to protect certain design elements during the testing phase. So until KTM officially unveils the final model, all information should be considered speculation. If you want to be informed about all new articles and videos, please follow our WhatsApp channel, link in the video description. Otherwise, as always, thanks for watching.